They talking all of this madness, talking all of this madness, talking all of this madness. They talking all of this madness, talking all of this madness, talking all of this madness. They talking all of this madness.
What's up, everybody? You are watching, you are listening to the Matt Madness Network live on YouTube. I'm your host for tonight, Ayla and Lori. Clap it up, clap it up. Yes, thank you, thank you. I'm joined with my guy, Dirty Dominic, Eric Trembicky. How you doing, baby?
Doing good.
All right. So, as always, guys, for best viewing experience, please watch on YouTube. The YouTube, we also have a audio feed, but it's for your best experience. It's better watch on YouTube, and make sure to thumbs up and turn on your post notifications, subscribe, and like I said, anything for the algorithm. All right. So, babe, we took a week off. A lot,
as we do.
I know. Sometime I don't think it's worth our time to come here. Sometime, and I don't think you disagree, because a lot of times I have nothing.
If I didn't miss you, I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah. So a lot of times I don't have nothing, but I got a lot today. I got a lot today. All right. So
let's get into it.
All right. So what's happened in the past week or so we've been going? There was a herpes outbreak in NXT. Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes, Mandy Rose says during her time that there was a herpes outbreak, and they had to constantly change the mats. So there was a herpes outbreak in NXT a few years ago.
This is just some old shit. All right, I thought it was some news. Like this
it's not new news, but it's news to us. JC Jane lost the Knockouts title. The worst person on the mat. We don't give it down.
Oh, come on, give Dana Brooke a little love.
Not the love you give. What else we have? We got Jake Hager doing God's work.
My new favorite wrestler.
my new favorite retired wrestler doing God's work. Oh man. Oh, and
hold on. So did you listen to the show in its entirety?
I did not finish it, but we'll get to some of it. We will get to some of it. And whatever you have to say, you can bring it up.
If you want to pause, you should go pour yourself a scotch.
I will finish. You can bring it up.
In the honor of Jake Hager, I might. August is over. For September, I think I'm gonna put bourbon on hold and I'm gonna drink some scotch, because that wasn't Jake Hager doing the show. That was Scotch Hager.
All right, bring it up when we get there, because I think we might start there. And
all right, okay.
And one more thing. 1 week away from the Birds playing. 1 week. Into my happiness. Ring the bell on them bum ass Dallas Cowboys. Ring the bell. They traded Micah Parsons today, and I cannot be more elated.
They wanted to make it extra competitive today.
The Cowboys are in mid-season form at this point. They are in November, December form, and it's not even September, and I love it. I'm ecstatic. I've been telling people close to me, Jerry Jones needs to get checked for something, because he really think he'd be out here flexing on people and making deals, but he ain't. I cannot be more happy about this. I was so happy. I wish Howie called, but Howie didn't. But oh God, it's a beautiful thing. Not even September in the Cowboy season, and the Cowboy fans are already miserable. I love it. Come over to the good side. Come here. Y'all can get to the back of the bus, but come over here. So enough of that. Did you watch anything? I know you hit it on the Jake Hager on Chris Van Vliet. Did you watch anything else?
I actually, so I'm probably gonna end up re-listening to the stream. For some reason, I try, especially if I read any dirt sheets, and I'm clicking on them less and less and less. But like once I click something, and if it says it's a headline from Chris's show, I just don't read it, because I'm like, I know I'm gonna listen to this. When I saw the Jake Hager thing, I was like, you know what? I was like probably 2 episodes behind. I was like, I'm skipping right to this. Now, you know what? I'm going on YouTube, and I watched the video. So, yeah, I'm going to re-listen to it. The show's great. It's hilarious. A lot to take away. Again, why he's my new favorite retired wrestler. It was just some of the weekly product. I watched AEW Dynamite last night. It was cool to see. I for some reason, I thought they already went to the ECW arena once, but apparently this was their first time there.
So NXT was there not at 2300, but they went in Philly last week. So maybe you
I know NXT was at 2300 months ago, but I thought like 6 months before they were there, AEW was there. But either way, I know I'm wrong. And it looked the show. I liked how it was filmed. I liked everything about it, the way it was set up, and it was good. Gave me good FOMO. But aside from that, I rewatched Bayley versus Sasha just due to the 10-year anniversary for it from NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Classic match, arguably the greatest women's match of all time. But that's about it.
All right. So for me, I did watch Peacemaker episode 1. I did not watch episode 2 this week, but I was glad to see it was back because I couldn't believe, like, I missed that show. I really did. It was a really good show. And they had that long hiatus, and I had to really refresh my memory, but great episode from episode 1. Real good cliffhanger. Can't wait to see what episode 2. I also did watch NXT Heatwave. I don't want to say it was bad. It wasn't bad by any means. If I had to rate, I'll give it a slobber knocker. It's just the fact that a lot of these guys that are up on NXT, I still haven't really connected to them yet. Like Dark State, for example, I haven't really been able to click with them along with Hank and Tank or whatever. The women's division, I've been clicking on all cylinders. I think all the women are in there excellent. That's the best women's division in wrestling. And Obafemi and Javon Evans, that was bravo as well. The other thing I did watch was, you'll be shocked, I did watch AAA.
Okay.
I did watch AAA. I really did.
I did watch that too. I guess I always forget how far back we were. Yeah. I watched it. I watched it live. I was down the beach.
Yeah, I watched it for the plot. And right here, this is the plot. Come on. There we go. There's the plot. I watched for the plot. That was the plot. But really good show. I really was intrigued by it. And I'm looking forward to it because I think they have a really good thing going here with this Troll AAA thing, and especially with integrating the WWE guys, and especially the Hispanic talent. And spoiler alert, I do think Dom will lose his IC title but win the AAA title. I do think that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks as well. But that was everything I pretty much watched. And we'll start at the top. We'll start at the top with this. So when I saw Jake Hager was on Chris Van Vliet, I thought this was going to be the most mid interview ever, or pointless. And immediately, the IWC is all over this, and I'm seeing him blast Tony Khan, and we're going to actually watch some of this right now.
Could tell that well, anyways, I always find a way to say this every day, so I think everyone should too. Say fuck Tony Khan. I could tell that he didn't want me there. He offered me like a year and a half. I was like, bro, I just did Stadium Stampede twice. Like, don't act like Stadium Stampede didn't put AEW on the map. I was in the debut episode. I was the big spoiler, and you offer me 18 months after all that. So it was that and the way that he started running the business that it really, like, he wasn't a professional. Like, after all the Punk shit that went down, the boys got together and we had a meeting, and this was the boys only, no office. All right. We're on Sting's in there, show, Jericho, Bryan, Mox, they're all standing at the front, kind of like talking us through this shit. And lo and behold, who comes into the room storming in? Daddy's little billionaire. And he's like yelling at us because I think it was Dax and Cash and Wheeler didn't want to come in. They didn't like the storyline, so they refused to come to TV that day. And he was like, listen, I'll put you in a 6-man 6 minutes before the show, and you're going to do it. And we're all just like, all feeling disrespected. And I still to this day wish I would have stood up and said, you know, a lot of things. But like, you just told Sting that you're going to put him in a 6-man in 6 minutes, but then you're going to honor him for his retirement. We became his little playthings. We had to wait outside his office. His storylines were very good at debuting, but he can never carry anything through. And it got to the point where
proudest moments are when patients come to my office, and I've seen them.
You're turning this into advertisements.
All right. So that was Jake Hager doing God's work about AEW and Tony Khan. So I'll let you take this first because you seem so excited to talk about this.
Oh, so it was funny because, they put each other over, obviously, like any other interview when they open it up, and then talk about, I guess it was like the birth of AEW in 2019 when the last time Hager was interviewed by Chris. And then like they talk about the first interview they did, which was like in 2010 when he was world champion. Shortly after that, he's like, "What are you drinking?" And he's got me as a drinker. I'm popping. He's got a full glass of scotch. So then he goes into the Tony rebuttal. And then he talks about how like he puts over Jericho. He's number one on his Mount Rushmore. And obviously they have a lot of history together. They were in two factions in AEW. Jericho put him over in WWE, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, "Look, I'm happy everything I got to do with him. But at the same time, there's so much complaints he had with how he was used or the ideas he was pitched were always shot down. And he just felt like he was just kind of always like discredited." So it was cool just to kind of hear him, crap on people. Dax did, I don't know if you saw the thing on social media, but he even.
I have it. I was going to read it. I have it up. So I'll put that up.
All right, go for it.
So if you guys can read that on screen, can't read it on screen, I will read it for you. Dax responded on X saying, "Cash and I were at all talent-only meetings that was called by Bryan, Jericho, and Mox. Tony never interrupted. Cash and I have never refused to show up to work, and I dare to say, if you look at our schedule since Collision started, we're the most consistent talent that makes both shows every week. I'm not really sure where all this is coming from, but it's mostly not true." Go ahead.
Which shortly after Jake, he posted then a text thread with Hager, and Hager just pretty much apologized to him and said, "Hey, I shouldn't have worded as that as I thought I said I thought, but I shouldn't have said you guys' names unless I was sure." Just they're like any of these good podcasts, especially when they're focusing on stuff that's 2-year-old drama. It's everything could be hearsay. Who knows when or what day or what time of the hour they're recapping this, but other things could be altering his view on it. But obviously he's not thrilled, and I think he has every right to not be thrilled with how he was used for his 4 or 5 years with the company. So there's obviously a lot of other nooks and crannies about the show that went on for over an hour, but definitely a good watch, a good listen. Highly recommend.
Yeah. So when it comes to that, a lot of guys pretty much, especially the bigger names and the guys that were pretty much there from the beginning, they've been kind of silent about what things are going on. Like Cody, you can't get Cody to say anything. And I don't think he's really going to unless he ends up writing a tell-all book or whatever. Britt Baker, we don't know what's going on with her. We haven't really heard her say anything. The only people we really hear stuff from are like the day one guys who kind of didn't make it. Like you don't really hear much from Joey Janela, for example, about the whole situation. But Hager said essentially what we all have said for the longest time. And kind of like small stuff that we heard in passing. Tony's good at debuts. We've always agreed with that. But when it comes to everything else, everything is sus. And when you hear about the booking, because I can't tell you how many times, like you were the biggest AEW guy, and at a certain point in time, you tapped in like, what the hell are you talking? What is going on? So pretty much somebody kind of rectified exactly what we're saying when it comes to Tony Khan. And we're going to get to this about somebody else in a little bit, but it's really interesting about like how that place is actually run, because from everything that Hager's saying, even Tony can't manage a target. So I don't know. I thought it was good to hear, especially from somebody from him, because like I said, I thought that going into this was going to be like a mid interview or something completely throwaway, but we came out with a lot of information. So, I don't say a lot of, well, I'll say a lot of information because he hit on even his work.
I doubt we mentioned this, but it was funny. Like when Cora Jade was released, like Punk gave a little sentimental thing on his story about her, and he says, "Please stay. Like I know you'll, reach some heights wherever you end up. Please stay away from TK."
That's the thing. Everybody has. That's the thing. AEW is nice. Become like I said, formulaic in a place there. It's like, do you really want to go there? Because I can't tell you how many guys, like I said, the debuts, but after that, it's downhill from there. Like my beloved Deonna Purrazzo, like where is she?
So I mean, and not to just be like full defense for them, but it's kind of like everything can be compared. Like I was reading somebody like, put this list up of like the 15 horrible booking decisions since Triple H has been in charge. Half that list, I'm like, Vince did that. Vince did that. Do not act like Vince did that too. If we're like, you could literally, just change the name, character, or championship. Like Vince did the same crap. And it's like, sure, people did debut and will debut in AEW, and then unfortunately will flounder, which has happened with more names that came from NXT to the main roster than didn't happen. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that it's like, it's predictable. But it's going to happen both ways. However, there are people like Tony Storm, like Swerve Strickland, Samoa Joe, who obviously was already a bona fide legend, who did get to AEW and did reach, heights that they did not in WWE.
Yeah, for sure. But like even I didn't finish it, but I did kind of like I did catch in passing that he was supposed to beat Cena for Cena's title when he cashed the Money in the Bank. Cena refused to lose to him. I did catch that tidbit, but definitely an interview that I'm actually like really looking forward to actually finishing because from what I was skimming through, it was a lot of good stuff there, a lot of good stories, especially in that like weird time that WWE was in, like in 2010 when Swagger was the champion, because that was like a really weird time in the company. And they were really trying to find something. And Swagger was one guy they actually tried to. They tried to make him more serious, but it didn't work. I'm not sure if they really hit on the stuff where he came back with Dutch Mantel. I know.
So they do talk about that. He actually he refers to that as his favorite time in the career. Also, that like in wrestling and in life, he learned more from Dutch riding with him than ever. There's a lot of depth they go into that. One other tidbit on it, and you could go in the archive back 6 years and listening to episodes from when we were reviewing the early year of Dynamite. I by no means, day one episode of the show, Jack Swagger was never on my radar, never somebody I was a fan of, didn't like his look, didn't like the gimmick, whatever. However, he did have some accolades in WWE. He did have that Luger spot debut on Dynamite. Whole different look, not clean shaved, better haircut, has a beard, aligned with Jericho. At the end of the day, it's like, cool. Like, Tony should have been able to turn wrestling fans and make people like him. I mean, he had feuds and matches like where, I think he probably challenged Cody early on for like the TNT title. I think he had a feud with Mox for the world title. And like, in a way, like, he never got to any accolade. Like, he was really a threat kind of on and off for the first 2 years, but then he was always a joke. And he does get into some funny tidbits with some ideas he had for stuff he could have done as part of the Jericho Appreciation Society that they didn't go with, especially because he became like a comedic act. But it was also, again, one of those things. They tried always legitimizing him by JR was always putting over undefeated MMA, undefeated MMA. Well, how are you going to advertise that this guy's undefeated in MMA, but he can't really get a win that matters in AEW?
Yeah, makes sense.
Very counterproductive.
Makes sense. So you kind of touched on something about Jack Swagger. We're going to move on and talk about his GOAT, and that is Chris Jericho. So reportedly, Chris Jericho's contract with AEW will be up by the end of the year, and there is rumor and speculation that he will be heading back home to WWE. So What are your thoughts on Jericho potentially returning back to the WWE?
So, I mean, it's kind of in a weird way, like when Punk was released and a couple months went by and there was the rumors that he was going to show up at Survivor Series. It's one of those things that it's like WWE land, like never say never. But I mean, if you would have asked us this 2 weeks ago before we took off and said, yo, do you think Jericho, like, think about it. You know, he signed a 3-year contract. He re-signed. Simple math would say that's about to expire. Do you think he'll come back? No, ha, ha, ha. It would have been a funny listener question. Obviously, there's all the smoke to it now. There's people, you know, Tony Schiavone said something about it in on his podcast. Jericho put a little teaser on social media. There's WWE releasing 2 Vault Jericho matches and posting. I'd love to see it. It's one of those things, kind of like anything with wrestling. I mean, and life. That boy's getting older. I mean, how much more can he go? If his contract's going to expire, what's he going to get? Another 3 years? 2, 1? I mean, 1 final year in WWE, 2 years, go out right. There's a lot of ways I can't see it. I think if, you know, he really, it's not some of his best work, but like he really did work a rigorous schedule over the last year or so. You know, a lot of stuff with the Ring of Honor division. I kind of thought he was going to try to like really build that brand up. I don't know what to think, but obviously as much as I like AEW, I don't know how much more time he has. And I'd love to see him hang it up in a WWE ring.
Yeah, so when it comes to Jericho, it's interesting because he was the first name to attach him, the biggest name to attach himself to AEW in the Ascension besides the Bullet Club guys. So he was the one who gave the cosign. And
well, no, you were so originally right because he was a bigger name than anyone in the Bullet Club.
Yeah, but he was the first person to co-sign them because he was the name. Like outside the Bullet Club class, he was the guy. He was the head. He was the first one to take that jump and co-sign and give the seal of approval. And I think he's overachieved in that because I remember when the first All Out happened, where they were crowned the champion, we were debating who's going to be the champion. We said it had to be Jericho because Jericho had to promote the company. He had to be the big name to actually be in the forefront, and that's what he actually did. Now, over the years, since he had that long schedule, that rigorous schedule, as you said, it's the overexposing. There was too much of Jericho, and it's like at a certain point in time, it's like, okay, this is a lot. There's a lot of Jericho here. JAS, I think they had some funny moments, but wasn't a fan. I personally wasn't the biggest fan of the Inner Circle, personally, because if you remember from the Assumption, I said this doesn't match. We were all excited because AEW was new. It was like the first, second episode of Dynamite where it happened. But I think Jericho, he's did his job when it comes to AEW.
I would argue Inner Circle is probably the I don't know what else it would be. It's probably the great, and obviously 6 years, whatever. It's probably the greatest faction AEW did.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree because a lot of the stables they had, they just disappeared randomly.
Or you know, a lot. They've had a lot of bad injury spots with factions. It's almost one of those things. I'm a huge fan of factions, always have been, and then you know once in a while. You'll get, you know, world's worst creation wrestling fans will, you know, complain too much this, but like, cool. Maybe they're just looking to get one right. But like, you know what, WWE went like a decade really without factions. I mean, I think it would be a good year plus if, you know, AEW could avoid trying to do anything larger than a trio. I know in a way they always got to make trios, especially since they got belts for them, but.
Yeah, and I don't want to say he outstayed his welcome. I'll just say he did his job because his job was to kind of get the company on the map, be that big name to lead them to get them started, and basically take a backseat eventually for the next set of guys to move the company forward. But I think he did his job. I think a lot of the stuff he did over the last year or so has been cringe with the learning tree and being ROH champion twice. Did I get some laughs out of it? Absolutely. Like, I love when he called himself the Ocho, because I'm a big dodgeball fan, movie Mark. So I did think that was funny, but personally, I really think he overstayed his welcome. Not overstayed his welcome. I think he did his job when it comes to AEW, and I think it's time for him to move on, because if he retires, he retires. He'll be one of the greatest of all time. But I do think he has a home in a place in WWE at this moment in time, especially because when it comes to Triple H and the way he books things, I don't want to say he overexposes. I think it's like a middle, because sometimes he doesn't overexpose, but I also think he underexposes. But I think Jericho is somebody that you can actually underexpose because of who he is, and he can still be on TV every now and then. Like, every now and then, you might see him once or twice a month, and you can do it that way. But I do think Jericho does have a space in WWE still.
So, one thing that he gets crucified for, and again, was every angle he was involved with great? No. But I do think, like anything, it's like, if you look at it, if he leaves, if in January, if we're saying, hey, he's gone from Jericho, gone from AEW, and for 6 years he was there. He was the inaugural AEW champion. They acquire Ring of Honor. He wins that world title twice. He creates 3 factions. And whether a lot of these names got to pin him or not, they got to be on TV with a made guy, the biggest guy from the company or of the company, somebody, a household Attitude Era and beyond WWE name. But like the learning tree, he put guys like Big Keith, Big Cass, obviously with the Inner Circle, you got Santana, Ortiz, Sammy, Hager, Anna Jay. What the hell were the guys that were a tag team? They were in NXT. 2 guys slipping my name. One guy does commentary all the time. The other one, I think, is having a kid with Ruby Soho. Matt Menard and Danny Magic, the 2 of them. Garcia, Anna Jay. So right there's 10 names of people that rub shoulders with him. Outside of that, you get people like Bandito and Claudio, who got to beat him for the Ring of Honor title. So this obviously, beating a bona fide Hall of Famer. And then, as odd as it is, he didn't need the rub per se. He already was a former WWE champion. But Moxley becoming the second AEW champion, a good rub of, it's not like he beat Sammy Guevara to become the champion. It's not like he beat Wheeler Yuta. He beat Chris Jericho, with all his records and all his accolades. So all in all, Jericho did his job for AEW, and I definitely hope it's one of those things if he leaves, because it's obviously Cody kind of left similar where his contract was up and he just decided not to stay. But it seems like if Jericho's going to leave, I hope they acknowledge him still in the company, not kind of like a little promo here and there that like MJF or Sammy or Dustin will like give a nod. But I hope it'll always be like, oh, in 2030, such and such has just become the 15th world champion. Back to our history with Chris Jericho, something that should always be, recognized.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if Jericho does come back. We got the Royal Rumble coming as well, so maybe always being a surprise entrance, always a card they can actually play. But I'm interested to see what's going to actually happen with Chris Jericho. Now, you're doing perfect with my transitions, by the way, talking about championships. Also, while we were away, we had Mercedes Mone. She got her 9th championship, also retaining her TBS championship while we were away as well. So we had one of the most underrated wrestlers, in my opinion, Lance Storm. He had some comments about Mercedes and winning another championship, and we're going to play those right now.
That just thinks more belts, everything's great. She's got 27 belts. But I think there's people like you and I who belts are supposed to be prestigious, and an AEW championship or a Ring of Honor championship has a degree of prestige. But if you've never heard of the promotion, never heard of the belt, never heard of the woman she defeated, then it just starts delving into comedy, or at least the lesser belts bring down the ones that are supposed to be important, because when you come out with 10 belts, if you think they're all equal, chances are the 2 or 3 important ones get brought down to the 6 or 7 less important ones rather than the other way around. There is a younger demo of fans.
So you being the belt mark, and we've hit on this a few times over the last few months. What are your thoughts on her winning her 9th belt? And also on Dynamite, she also did mention that she's trying to break Ultimo Dragon's record of 10. But however, she technically has, because 8 of Ultimo Dragon belts were a unification. So technically in that iconic picture, he was only a champion of 3 things, but the J Championship was 8 of those belts because they were all unified. But give me your thoughts on.
There's also the argument that like she's the only person, which I love that she's doing. She also, we're talking about the Owen Hart Championship, which is a belt that's not defended.
Yes,
as being one of them. Erroneous about that point. Her as the belt collector has been my favorite thing she's done in AEW. Again, that I'm not saying that solely just because of being a belt mark. I haven't heard that Lance clip, and I do understand and agree with a lot of his points, because I've kind of always been confused how all this is going to play out to a certain extent. Like, she didn't beat Toni Storm, and I kind of knew she won it when it wasn't title for title. When it was just Tony's world title on the line, okay, cool. Tony can retain, and she'll still have the TBS title. So I always kind of thought, like, how are they going to do this? Is she going to start losing these smaller belts and then eventually lose everything and go all the way up and then lose the TBS title? Is she going to lose the TBS title and then forfeit everything else, vacate them? Like, I don't know. If she's going for a 10th and then 11th belt, obviously the Owen Hart doesn't need to be dropped. That's something that's not going to be defended. But I'm just kind of I'm really confused. Like, she's eventually going to have to drop this TBS title, and when she does, is she going to go to New Japan, lose? Is she going to go to Mexico, lose? Is she going to go fly around to all these smaller promotions and then lose? That's something that is confusing. But as somebody invested in kind of championships and the lineage of them, it has me more always interested to see what she's going to do.
Yeah, so that was my point a few weeks ago, and you also agree with me, because it's like, all right, you're gonna lose X amount of times in a row. Like, is that just how it's going to happen? It can't happen that way. That looks crazy, or whatever. Now, when it comes to these belts, Lance, I agree with him 100%, because it's one thing if you have the New Japan belts, because like they have interactions with New Japan or whatever, they have Forbidden Door or whatever, but all the other championships, we're not seeing none of those wrestlers appear on AEW TV to make those titles feel important, because it's just like, okay, we see Mercedes is traveling, she wins another belt over the weekend or whatever, and we see her come out with it next week on Dynamite. It's like, okay, well, you got another belt, but as Lance Storm said, that 27 belts, it's like, all right, we don't know about these promotions, we don't see anybody from these promotions. So how is anybody a threat, and why do these belts matter? And as you always know, double champions, they never work. Logically, they don't work.
So the one thing that always was confusing to me, and like, I get it, like, if you're lucky and you went to that random indie show on Fairgrounds that had a tent over it, and boom, former WWE star, AEW TBS champion with all these other championships shows up and wins the belt in that promotion. That's awesome. You get to see something you never thought you'd see. Is she ever going to go back there? Or what, she's going to go back, defend the belt one time every 6 months, and then what's she going to do? Go back there for a second time and then drop it to Lisa Smith from up the street.
Lisa Smith. Yeah, because like you said, like I was saying, like the double title, it never works out. It really doesn't. Like when somebody's a champion and a tag champion, that works. But when they're a double champion, it never works. And if it does, you don't hold the title for long or whatever. Because it's like, all right, well, let's like, for example, if you're the world champion and like the IC champion or whatever, it's like, all right, I beat you for the IC title, but why wasn't this for the world title? You know, there's a lot of issues with it.
Well, and it's always confused. And then, so two things. We did bring up Ash by Elegance, Dana Brooke. So she said her Busted Open that she has both belts, that she's still the Knockouts Women's Champion. She went on she shared every picture she was tagged in on social media. She took a couple photo shoots with the Knockouts title. But I'm like, yo, if you're a double champ, you just beat a double champ. But why wouldn't you be posting pictures with both belts? And then to me, it's always where it's like cool when these promotions intertwine. Like Konosuke from the Don Callis family a couple months ago. And again, I haven't been thoroughly watching everything AEW, but a couple months ago, he had the AEW before he lost it to Kenny. He was the AEW International Champion, and he had the New Japan Never Openweight Championship. And then I don't know if it was before he lost the belt to Kenny, if it was after, but like he came out with it a couple times. Then all of a sudden, I think one day I was just Googling recently. I was like, wait, does he not still have that belt? So it's like, and it's cool when these promotions kind of intertwine, but like, especially with how frequent AEW and New Japan does, if an AEW wrestler's dropping a New Japan belt, that's something that they should be talking about on TV. Maybe they did it in Collision and I just didn't see it. Yeah. But again, why double promotion or double champions, and especially when it's mixed promotion, doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. And now if it leads to her pursuing Toni Storm again or Athena's ROH title to be the 10th title, if you're making a story out of it, fine. Because that's kind of like her having these belts more relevant, as we talked about going into All In.
Maybe she'll just go for Red Velvet and then go for the Ring of Honor TV title.
Well, it's a title that is somewhat on television, but like I said, you're being a legend tonight because you're lining up my transitions well. You spoke about Ash by Elegant, and we had not discussed this in a while, but the WWE TNA partnership, it's clicking on all cylinders in my opinion. We had JC Jane as double champion. She lost to Ash by Elegance. Was not pinned, but lost a title in a triple threat match. Ash by Elegance is the new champion. Trick Williams is still the TNA champion as well. And
one of the greatest TNA champions of all time.
Definitely. And we talked about this months back, I think around January or February, about we got to start seeing gold traded a bit. And we're getting the gold. We've gotten and have the gold being traded around. So what are your thoughts?
I think the intertwining is great. I'll tell you what. I've told myself, and I said this on the show probably 3 months ago, I need to watch NXT more often. I've been, not just for the plot, but I've been because of the integration of TNA championships and talent has made me invested. Not just that, you never forget your first. I can tell you my first Ring of Honor show I watched. I can tell you my first TNA pay-per-view I watched, and that was Slammiversary. And obviously with all the stuff online, some of the championships being involved, it was a great show. I just think, and people can complain, it was kind of obviously a WWE heavy result, but I would look at it as fun as I was of Invasion. Sometimes it starts like that, and then at the end, maybe it'll be a happy camp for TNA, and stuff's going to flip-flop back and forth. But I think this relationship is going great thus far. And mentioning TNA, and we mentioned the AAA show, we had people from TNA involved in that too.
A Triple Mania?
Yeah, I believe Laredo Kid was in a match, and he's a TNA guy. I'm not sure if there was anyone else off the top of my head, but I think there may have been. Okay, yeah. So I'm definitely enjoying it as well. I really am. Like I said, they traded the goal. They took the next step in doing that as well. So I'm glad that actually happened. And we're still in earlier. We didn't really get all the big names. I think we had just got Moose at that time. So we got Moose keep coming back. We got the System coming in
a few weeks back. We had the Hardys early in the year as well. So I think it's clicking on all cylinders at this point. And even at Heatwave, when Ava made the announcement about the Speed title coming to NXT, she even said a TNA wrestler was going to be involved in the number one contenders match for the Speed title as well. So
is that like a permanent thing? I didn't
the Speed show is no longer on Twitter. Like, so the contract was up between that. So now both Speed titles are going to be integrated into NXT. So she did say that it was supposed to be an NXT wrestler, I believe a TNA wrestler, and I forgot the other two wrestlers that were supposed to be in it, but it was a variety of wrestlers that was supposed to be in a number one contenders match for the Speed title. So I think they're really doing a really good job of integrating. And I'm interested because there was a report that came out a few weeks ago as well that TNA, they're trying to find a new TV home, and allegedly WWE has first dibs on purchasing TNA if they want, allegedly. And at this point, I think if the partnership is going accordingly, I wouldn't be shocked if WWE buys it. I'm not sure how much different it
buys it and just uses it as another brand. Kind of like they bought AAA, and it's kind of like it's standing on its own, but it's obviously we know who's running the show. Yeah,
but also the thing when it comes to AAA is that's his own entity over there. And you could bring over the Hispanic talent from WWE to put them over there. They can get some work. Like Lola Vice has been working AAA, for example.
That's the plot.
So she's been working in AAA, for example. And then you could like have Mr. Iguana on SmackDown or whatever. Like if anybody kind of makes that transition, it makes that mainstream jump to SmackDown. You know, you can make a mainstream jump to the audience. You can move them to SmackDown, for example. So I think it's actually working really well. I think the TNA thing can actually work as well. I'm interested to see how like the backstage feels with that. Now, like I haven't listened to like the Major Pod in a few months, so I'm not sure if Myers has any opinion on what's been going on or how the feel is backstage when it comes to that. But I wouldn't be shocked that WWE did purchase TNA, and I think the way they're integrating using AAA and integrating TNA into NXT at this point, I think that'd be actually really good.
I agree.
And one more thing before we get to our predictions. So we speculated, the internet speculated, so nobody proceeded with caution. Big Jim was yeeting all over the place. Yep. Jim was yeeting all over the place. He took Netflix and chill. What it exactly is supposed to be. It's the code. So
she watched Netflix with no pill.
Netflix and no pill. I like that. So Naomi is pregnant. She relinquishes her women's world title. And I just love the fact that she kept it as player and as heel as possible.
The character.
I loved it. I loved it. I really did. And that originally Stephanie Vaquera was supposed to be challenging Naomi for the Women's World Championship at Clash in Paris. But Adam Pearce says that give him a week. You won't be competing at Clash in Paris, but just give me a week. So any thoughts on who her opponent could be? Because for waiting a week, it has to be a return or somebody big, don't you think?
I think I don't really have a serious thought on who it's going to be. I mean, especially so it looks like what? It's going to be someone random, and then it's a one-on-one, and it's for a vacant title. You're right, because as much as they get, they're going to crucify. All right, Rhea, you're in there. And the only way it would really make sense is Rhea and Rio kind of had, their own claims to it if they put them in a triple threat. But I think people are sick of that triple threat. What's it going to be, Bianca?
That was my guess, but I don't think they'll give that away. But it has to be somebody somewhat returning or somebody a big name for, say, give me a week. Because when you say give me a week, it's like, all right, I got to get this together. But I don't think it could be anybody that we've seen in the last few weeks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't got too much thought for that.
Yeah, so if I had to guess, I would probably go with Bianca because I'm not sure what's going on with her finger. So I'm not sure, but I think it would have to be a surprise. And Bianca's the one person I can think of, and the other person I can think of is Liv.
Fantasy booking, I love it.
I can see it being Liv.
Way too soon. I think she's lucky if she makes it to the Rumble.
Yeah, so she is my pick for the Royal Rumble if she doesn't come back before then. She is my pick to win the Royal Rumble. But if I had to guess, I would say it's either Bianca or Liv, because apparently whoever is on the writing team watched 2002 WWE, and Rio and Io are about to do some HLA because this is getting wild over there. So now we're going to get to our Clash in Paris predictions. Not the hypest about this pay-per-view. I think it'll be good, but not too excited about this. So I'm going to start with the match I'm excited for the most. So we're going to have John Cena taking on Logan Paul. Give me your thoughts.
Cena wins.
Prediction.
I really got no thoughts.
Really?
No. It's Logan Paul, Cena. The title's no longer involved. I hate to disrespect Paris, but it's a Saudi match in Paris. It's Cena on his retirement tour, and I love Cena's promo. This match could be against so many other people. It's a wasted opportunity. Shout out to Logan, but whatever.
Well, I did love Cena going vintage and kind of getting the shovel out on Logan Paul on SmackDown. I really did like that. I really thought it was actually a really good promo. And I'm looking forward to the match because going back to Money in the Bank, they had their mishap in their tag team match, and now we're going to get this match going into Cena's final months with the company. But I do think this will be a really good match. And I'm going to go with John Cena to win this match as well. Now, another thing about John Cena is this. WrestlePalooza is going to be the next pay-per-view. It's in, I believe, September 20th. I'm almost positive. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat.
20th or 21st, I think.
Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. Anybody? Who do you think he's going to face? Because there's a rumor going around that's saying that he'll face somebody he hasn't faced in, I think, 10 years.
When's the last time he faced Brock?
It was about one-on-one has been about that time.
Yeah.
Because Adam Pearce had that interaction saying, I talked to Brock.
It's Brock. Somebody tried to put in that. Yeah, it's been 10 years. They think just because he had that return at F5 to him.
Yeah, that wasn't a match. That wasn't a match. And we got that cliffhanger when I believe it was Adam Pearce or Aldis saying that I talked to Brock Lesnar, and then Logan Paul interrupted them.
Yeah.
So we got that cliffhanger about when's he going to come back, and maybe potentially he'll be his final opponent, because we now know his final opponent will be at Saturday night's main event in December. We know that now, but I'm really curious to see what goes on at WrestlePalooza, because like I said, I laid out that I think AJ Styles is going to win the IC title from Dom. He's fought AJ Styles since 2017, but I think that'll be a good person to go to because he's also in John Cena's Rogues Gallery, and arguably gave him the best match of his career. So I think it would be interesting if AJ does win the Intercontinental title and gives Cena that match for the one thing Cena hasn't done, and that's win the Intercontinental title. So
yeah,
I like that whole aspect of it, but I'm going to go with John Cena to beat Logan Paul. Next, the Fatal 4-Way for the Heavyweight Championship of the World. Seth Rollins defends against LA Knight, Punk, and Jey Uso.
That's right-hand man, Jey Uso.
Right, main event.
Unfortunately, too early in the reign, my prediction is Seth. I want to see Jey become a two-time champ. I'm more excited for this. This might be the match I'm most looking forward to.
So I really love the interactions between LA Knight and CM Punk. I really do. I think those two have that's a built-in feud right there in the next coming months, because I think they had great interactions. And if you saw Raw Monday night, Rollins was kind of like banking on those guys taking each other out, and that's exactly what they did to end Raw. You know, they take out LA Knight. Well, yeah, I believe Punk took out LA Knight, and then Jey Uso took out CM Punk, and Rollins is just looking back at Braun saying, "Look, they're doing it." So this is all pretty much a part of Rollins' plan. And what he's trying to do, and that's how he's going to capitalize and actually win this match. And I'm interested to see where Rollins is go after this, because I do think CM Punk and LA Knight, that is a feud. Maybe Seth Rollins end up going on the feud with Jey Uso, maybe. because Jey Uso doesn't really technically have much to do either.
Yeah, I'm. The last couple of Raws have always ended the same, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this match plays out and what happens the following night.
All right. Next, we have now. I'm gonna throw this now. First of all, like Roman, you are my tribal chief.
Acknowledge me.
But this shit right here over the Poppy Jordans.
Well, prep ain't here. What do you expect?
We saw WWE Unreal. Now season 2, I want to see who was in the creative meeting talking about this. I really do, because this is dumb, and it's like and Roman is purposely doing this to Bronson Reed, bring out the Poppy Jordans. They told Roman this shit, and Roman was like, nope. That's what he did. So he wore all this bullshit out to the ring. So you're not out.
Bronson said he knows sneakers better than Roman.
Huh. Well, if he did, he would have left them spits like lows on his feet.
But it's a flex. It's the biggest guy in the business.
In the mids. We gonna get that shit. Roman knew what he was doing. You want him to take my shoes, so he gonna put on some trash. Roman knew exactly what he was doing. He really does. Looking forward to the matchup. I think the match is gonna be really good. Give me your thoughts.
Match I think is definitely going to deliver. Obviously, acknowledge my tribal chief. Roman's going to take the win.
All right, so we're in agreement with there, because after this, it's for me. I don't know where Roman goes from here, because the way things are being set up,
him versus Seth.
Well, also you still have Punk have a claim to face Seth, and they're running back WrestleMania 42 in Vegas. I wouldn't mind them running this back at 42 as well, because they both have claims to Rollins, and we have to see who's going to be the one that actually gets the main event with Rollins for the heavyweight championship of the world, because I do believe it's going to be Roman or Punk again. Or if we get the triple threat match before WrestleMania, and then one of those two can actually go into WrestleMania to face Seth.
Maybe they'll WrestlePalooza.
Maybe that's where you get the triple threat. But I am going to go with Roman.
If lightning strikes twice,
I'm going to go with Roman to win that match as well. Now, this is the match. This is somebody we haven't talked about really since his return, because the situation with Liv. So Nikki Bella is going to challenge Becky Lynch for the WIC title. What are your thoughts been on Nikki Bella being back?
What I didn't understand, I heard she was hard on herself, and I don't know. I think she was in a 3-way or a 4-way. She was in. It was one of her first matches. No, I think it was her first singles match. Now that I think about it, her first singles match. They were telling about it was her first singles match in years. I thought she did great. I think she had like a sloppy spot, but given the circumstance and everything going on with it, I think it was great. It definitely delivered.
Yes, because when it comes to Nikki Bella's return, it was kind of derailed because she was supposed to face Liv, and Liv got hurt, so that kind of put her swirling around trying to figure out something to do with her. And I think she kind of found a home with Becky Lynch for the WIC title. I think all the interactions between these two have been amazing. I really do. The personal shots have been great. Becky Lynch has been on fire. She was a little too on fire on Raw and got some people upset. But I think Nikki Bella. I'm not mad.
Good heat to me.
Yeah, I'm not mad. Nikki Bella's back because she was the Bella I did prefer. I do think this match is really.
They can leave her twin in Jacksonville.
I think this match will be good. I really do, and I do think Becky Lynch will retain. But I hope that does continue, because I really think this has actually worked out really well. And I'm interested to see what Nikki Bella does going forward as well, because like I said, I don't think she's been bad. I don't think she's been terrible. But her being back, like I said, when she came back at the Royal Rumble, there were so many things that you can actually do with her now because she's back. And when she left, she pretty much left as the longest reigning Divas champion of all time. and now she can come back with this new generation of women and work with them. And then we always hear about how much of an inspiration she was to a lot of the younger women in the division. So I'm looking forward to see what they do with Nikki Bella, but I am going to go with Becky Lynch to retain her WIC championship. Now, in the final match, I don't really have much to say. It's Sheamus and Rusev. I will say this, Rusev had the biggest flop return of all time, just beating up on Alpha Academy. But
since Rusev Day ended, this guy, nothing he's ever done has mattered. Him being the best man sucked. His TNT title reign, I don't give a crap. Sucked. Definitely sucked because he never bounced back after he lost the title.
Yeah, now he was.
You know what I'm gonna do during this match? Go get another beer.
Sheamus would love that. But they had a video package, and him and Sheamus had a really good match on Raw that ended in a no contest. But they had a video package hyping it up. Sheamus even talking about you were doing nothing this entire time since you came back. Your return was a flop, which it was. But that video package, it did get me kind of excited for it. I think I know the match will be good. It's just the level of, do you actually care or not? But
yeah, and then what do they do after the match? Because like Adam Pearce said, this is their last time they're doing it.
Yeah, so I am going to go with Sheamus to defeat Rusev. And that is the Clash in Paris card as of now. We do not know if there'll be any more added matches. Do you have anything else that you want to discuss?
That is it.
All right, guys. So thank you, everybody, for watching. As always, make sure to subscribe, thumbs up, turn your post notifications for the algorithm. Also, subscribe to the audio feed, and also ringside code MManus to the order. So I'm Eloy Lloyd for X2 Flyer Eric Trembicki. We will see you guys soon.
Got him now, put him down right now, hit him with the palm handle. Tuning up the band, y'all don't understand. Fist of Superman, it's a summer slam. Here we go again. Fans marking man, I hate my balls. Shut the Vince McMahon, it ain't safe to land off the cell. Fans love it, ain't hard to tell. Talking madness, awesome. Well, what I'm cooking, man, y'all off the smell.